welcome to Eat, Sleep, Sixers. I am one of your hosts, 215, the sports guy. I have my brother BG on the other side. And last but not least, we have Miss Dei Lynam, friend of the show. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good.
Doing pretty good. At this point, you're just a part of the family. This is your third time here. We love having you on every time, and we love hearing your views about the team that we all love, the Philadelphia 76ers.
Sure.
So I'll start off. How's the season going with the Blue Coats? How's things going down there?
Good. The G League's a little different. They actually play a tournament within the regular season, the showcase. So that last year they actually won the showcase. This year they didn't make that part to compete for the cup, but they played well in the regular season, which started, I don't know, maybe 11 games ago. And tonight they actually just made a trade 15 minutes ago
I saw
that
it.
has,
saw it.
Okafor and Shabazz Napier, which are two interesting names to me. So, I think I have a game Saturday. Maybe I have one before that, but I'll be interested to see what that's all about.
Right. So do we know who we gave up to get those guys?
Yes, I know Skylar Mays was one, Justin Robinson was two, and the third name was not a guy who was active on the roster. I hadn't seen him play, so I don't know where that name came from.
Okay. BG, go ahead, bro.
I agree with you. I'm very interested to see what Shabazz Napier brings to us. I've always been a Shabazz Napier fan. Uh, Surprisingly, he's in the G League. He's always been an amazing scorer, really good point guard. So I'm interested to see what he could bring to the Blue Coats for sure. Maybe he'll get called up.
Right. Well, it's funny because I just got off the radio and I was talking about because obviously the trade deadline is this Thursday at 3:00. The biggest name that we're listening around the league is obviously the Kyrie Irving situation and him requesting a trade. But where it comes to the Sixers, you know, I hear some small kind of names and also maybe trying to middle tier of the luxury tax. So, but in that conversation, I was talking about seeing two NBA guys this week on other teams in the G League, in a Chris Dunn, who was a lottery pick in 2016, and a Tony Snell, who was the 20th pick in 2013 by the Chicago Bulls. And then just to see this trade that involves, where is this coming from? Are they trying to look at some kind of insurance?
Right.
Whether it's Okafor at the backup position, I have no idea.
We were actually
Man,
just talking about
we were just talking about that, D, and I told Carl, I said, look, man, he's in the G League for a reason. I know we need size behind Joe right now, but he's in the G League for a reason. I mean, it's cool to have him back. I mean, we did draft him, so it's cool to have him back, but I just don't see him coming and taking Montrezl Harrell minutes. I just don't see it.
Yeah, I hear you. D,
Yes,
go
having
ahead.
before this was.
Go ahead.
Well, the hole that I think the team has is that they are 28th in the league in rebounding. So if something is possible to be done in terms of making your rebounding stronger, then I would be all for that. Names that bat around, and I don't know how involved the Sixers would be. There's the kid who plays for the Jazz, Jared Vanderbilt,
Yeah, I've heard.
he plays like 24 minutes for them. He's not an offensive-minded guy, but he does get you 8 boards a game. The flip side is like, what are you giving up to get who is down to playing only 12 minutes? How is he really that different? Instead of getting you rebounds, he tries to get you deflections, steals, and blocks. So, it's hard to sort through the rumors and what is actually possible and true. The names Vanderbilt, Nas Reed, and like a defense.
Oh no.
Hopefully she can tap back in.
Yeah.
If you didn't
If you can
hear,
still hear us, D, we lost you for a second. We'll fill a spot until you get back in. But yeah, I think she made a good point when she said, "But what are we giving up?" That's my biggest thing right now. I'm not willing to break this team up to add a rebounder.
right?
I'm just being like think about what we're saying. We want to break up or give somebody away to add a rebounder. We're
Right.
28th in the league in rebounding, but we're number 3 in the East. It's not like it's killing us. It'd be different if we were dying. Okay, we got D back. I'm sorry. Go ahead, man.
Oh no, I didn't know I was gone. I made my point.
I'm
So-
sorry. Yeah, you went away, so I said, all right, we'll just fill in until she comes back on the screen.
So I have
no, obviously you're third in the East right now. I'm not saying that, but when you get into the postseason and possessions become fewer, that rebounding could be a problem for you.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
you know what I think though? I think we have a guy that could give us maybe 8 rebounds a game off the bench. You know him very well because you've covered him when he played in the G League. I think Paul Reed can be that guy,
Paul Reed,
given the minutes, because that's his motor. His motor is always go after every loose ball, go after every. I think we may have that guy. It's just Doc really doesn't play him.
Why is that, D?
Well, that should indicate to you that he doesn't believe that is the guy. I mean, he is.
Touché,
And we're talking about.
touché,
I know, but we're talking about a guy who was just named the Eastern Conference Coach of the Month. So
yeah, he's
Right.
doing something right this year.
yeah.
Right.
I would say that he obviously has faith and likes the way that Montrezl Harrell is playing.
Mhm.
Now, some people think that they don't. His size is not what you want in your backup center. I think the games that Trez does fine. My favorite backup was Drummond.
Yes.
Drummond was your best pick. So we'll see. You know what? At the end of the day, Embiid's got to be healthy. Embiid's got to be able to play, playoff minutes. And that's really his health is going to determine if you are more successful this year than you've been in the past years without one of his strange injuries.
Most definitely.
Got to get out that second round. We
Yes.
got to get out that second round this year.
I've heard some Drummond rumblings. As long as his trade deadline has been, he wants out. Do we think it's a slight possibility the Sixers could get him back?
Well, it certainly seems to help when a veteran guy says he wants out, that teams tend to accommodate. I have not looked at Drummond's numbers of late of how many minutes he's getting, not many. So he could be there in the buyout.
The buyout market,
even after the trade deadline, if you can't get that. Yeah, exactly.
I hear you.
So there is a possibility. Obviously, the big thing is that the Sixers are maxed out with their own rosters or their roster with players. So it would behoove them if they could somehow move one of those other guys like a Cork or a Springer to make room for some money,
Right.
and also to try to get, like I said, get in that one tier lower of luxury space.
Well, you just threw me that alley-oop to segue me to my next point of Springer. We drafted this kid in the first round. He was sought out to be a defensive guard, very athletic, but he needed some work on shooting. What have you seen down there? Like, has he improved shooting? I see him back and forth every day, Philly.
She said no.
Well, his shooting, look, I love the kid. He plays hard.
Yeah.
And he does get after it defensively. But no, his outside shot is no better And there'd be a part of me that would say it might even be worse than it was.
Wow.
He can get to the rim. He's great in the open floor. But in terms of being able to knock down a shot, no.
Wow.
So
we go ahead, BJ.
So with that being said, talking about Jaden Springer, obviously you cover the Blue Coats. You see their every play, their every moment. Has anybody stood out to you this year that looks like they may be ready to be called up long term?
That's going to help the Sixers in terms of winning a championship? No, that's not.
Okay.
No, because that's not really what that G League is. You know, the G League is a developmental league that produces guys like Shake Milton if you do the gig right. It gives Jaden Springer a place to play, and because he's not going to get in the rotation because you're a championship level team.
Right.
I mean, that's not to say these guys aren't going to be in the league. You know, I also call the Washington G League teams games, and you know, their lottery pick Johnny Davis out of Wisconsin has played a lot of games there. You know, he's trying to find his way, and he can't crack the rotation of a Wizards team that's been kind of up and down.
Yeah.
And really, their other G League guy, when Bradley Beal was out, Jordan Goodwin he was averaging 17 minutes a game for the Wizards. So it does depend on situation. There's been a ton of G League success stories of guys getting NBA contracts. But in terms of helping this Sixers team on this particular playoff run, that's not where it's coming from. These guys need to get to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Right.
Yeah.
And that better be with their current rotation.
I have to ask you this question. PJ Tucker, you know, Philly, been in Philly a while now. You know, and it's been a lot of clamoring for him to be on the bench, not log as many minutes. What are you seeing out of him? What do you think Doc sees in him?
I don't think people appreciate enough what he has done defensively against some of the upper echelon teams that have come in and who he's guarded. If you're going to keep looking for the points on the stat sheet or big numbers, he wasn't that guy when they acquired him. He wasn't that guy who helped Milwaukee get a ring. He wasn't that guy with Miami last year, but he was the guy that annoyed the hell out of the Sixers because of what he did defensively to boot you out of the playoffs, and they advanced. So for the people who want to keep looking like that and don't want to pay attention to the defense that he hounds on other star players, then, you know, honestly, it's a tiring conversation.
Yeah. I hear you.
The main
and again,
thing,
I'm just going to say that he's in their starting lineup that has gone 22-5.
Right.
So
people forget that part. I say, is he making us lose? Like, people act like he's making us lose. Like, we're winning.
And look at opposing players and the frustration he brings to them. You know, I'm not saying Giannis didn't still get numbers, but he had to work hard for his numbers.
Yeah, really hard.
But that's my biggest thing that I say about him, about PJ Tucker. I said, you don't stop superstars. You don't stop Kevin Durant's, Giannis Antetokounmpo's. You don't stop them. You just make it difficult for him. And the fact that PJ was able to guard Joker the other day, and Embiid didn't have to guard him down the stretch, and Embiid got to save his energy just for offense and close out. That
was huge.
Yeah.
That's huge. The fact that we can throw another body at a guy like Joker.
Yeah. So, I mean, now the one thing I will say, at 37 years old, I don't want PJ Tucker to be low on gas when you get to the postseason. So, but I think the rotation, I actually said today repeatedly, I like this rotation the way it is. And I think they were afforded a gift when Maxey went out to be able to see what Anthony Melton does defensively for your starting unit and what Maxey does for your bench unit. Right. Because when you had Maxey, Harden, and Tucker out there to start a game, I didn't like that. I mean, Tucker actually, you know, he can defend one of those strong players that we just talked about. But I just think from a perimeter standpoint, instead of having Harden and Maxey have to take some of these high elite perimeter guys, I'd rather have DeAnthony Melton start the game on that person.
Understood. You took that question right out of my mouth. I was about to ask about Tyrese Maxey and his new role, and I at first I wasn't all for it. You know, I'm a big Maxey guy. I thought here's a young kid who just got thrusted into the starting lineup. He was getting comfortable with that. Now he has to go into a different mindset, coming off the bench, cold, and still going out and get his numbers. I think he's handled it well for the most part. I think he's handled it pretty well.
I would say
Yeah.
better than that. I don't know
Yeah.
what pretty well is.
Awesome.
What else does he have to do? He's averaging this. Yeah, but I'm just saying he's averaging more points than he did a year ago. So what's the harm? I don't understand how there was any ever a problem.
A lot of people just wanted to see Maxey start. That's all it was. Didn't think the statement that they made at the beginning of the season is key. It's a we season, not a me season. The fact that young kid is able to say, "Damn, I was a starter." He didn't look at it as a benching. He looked at it as, "Hey, I'm being put on the bench to help the bench lineup," and he took it in stride. Young kids usually
to help
take.
Well, I mean, you can say that. Sometimes I think we don't give people credit. I'm watching a guy, Chris Dunn, who was a lottery pick. He's 28 years old, and he goes, because of the nature of G League, he goes from starting to being on the bench to starting to being on the bench. And I think the key is the real good players, it doesn't matter. You get your minutes. It doesn't matter if you're there for the opening tip or you come in at the 6-minute mark. You'll get your minutes.
Wow.
And it just changes who you play with.
Exactly.
And the guys that can go back and forth like a Dunn, that's incredible to me, because who you're playing with seems to vary a whole lot more. But that's the nature of the G League. But, that guy could say he knows he's better than some of the guys they put in the starting lineup. That's not the point. The point is, how are we getting W's that we can be playing in the postseason at a high level?
True indeed.
Because guys like Jamal Crawford were better than a lot of people that started over him his whole career.
Sure.
But he knew his role.
So was Lou Williams.
Exactly. He knew his role. Hey, I'm that guy off the bench for this team. And I'm still getting minutes. It's not like I'm playing 2-3 minutes. I'm still getting starter-ish minutes.
Yeah. And usually Maxey has been finishing games, so unless it's been a blowout.
Right. He's still getting his minutes.
Yeah. I went to the game last night. Maxey showed out for me. Maxey showed out for me for my birthday.
That's good. That's good.
Well, wait, last night's game was in San Antonio.
Yes,
that's where he lives at.
I'm sorry. I'm in the military and I live in San Antonio. I'm from Philly, 100% from Philly, 100% Sixers fan, but I live in San Antonio.
Most definitely.
I did not know that.
I'll have to ask you, when the All-Star lineup came out, what was your immediate response?
Meaning when Embiid didn't make the starting lineup?
When he didn't make the starting lineup, and James Harden didn't make the lineup, period.
Yeah, right. So to the Embiid one, I think it'll force them to make a change, which will be, instead of picking, it has to be backcourt and front court, I would go with positionless, let the best players be named to the starting lineups, because if that had been the case, he would have made it.
Right.
So I think that change will come about. I think it's a crime that Harden didn't get named. Absolutely. Because that's being voted on by coaches, and how coaches do not understand or see what this guy is doing this year.
It's bananas.
Is ridiculous. And I know he missed, he's played in 35 of the 51 games, and it'll take, by Wednesday, after they play the Celtics, you'll see he'll be the leader in the NBA in assists by a whole 1 assist per game.
Yeah.
And but these coaches know that that's based on 70%, and to not know that he's at 70%, he's played 35. He needs to be at 35.7. So he's 1 game shy. Tomorrow, that number becomes 36.2. So he's still above 36 he has to play. So it'll be the 3rd game that he'll be in that range.
Most
but he and De'Aaron Fox, De'Aaron Fox deserved to be on the West.
Yeah.
That guy's balling. And in both cases, these guys have good records. The Kings are up in the top 3 out West, and the Sixers are in the top 3 in the East. So I think those two guys, that's not good. For Embiid to not be named a starter, it's silly. The guy's leading the league in scoring. He's having a hell of a year. He's top 2 if you were voting for MVP, and he's not in your starting lineup. I mean, you look silly.
Right.
It just looks
It
silly.
looks real silly.
But based on the rules, I
Yeah.
can see how it happened.
I hear you.
And they went away from that years ago. It used to be you could vote a center in, then they switched to the just 3 front court players. And I agree with you that in the future it's just going to be 5 players in the East,
Positionless, right? Because you have guys, right? So like a guy like, even though he's not in the past, he's not this year, but a Ben Simmons that, even though he is your point guard, he does play some forward. So does he get to be voted in both categories? Just at this point, when you have a lot of people who play different kinds of lineups than the traditional, 2 guards, 2 forwards, and a center, then you got to change your rules with that.
Absolutely.
Just say bring the best 24 players out there, let them play. Best 24.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because we're in an era of positionless basketball. So why are our rules for voting for
why are we pigeonholing?
Exactly. For all NBA, it's criminal that the leading scorer in the NBA was second team All NBA. That's criminal to me.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Most definitely. Dei, I'll ask you this last question. I know you have to go. What have you seen different from Doc this year, coaching wise? Or have you seen anything different from him?
No, I don't see different. I think they've upgraded their roster.
Absolutely.
I think the Tucker and the DeAnthony Melton were big deals, and having a healthy Harden who's been with the group, not 20 games. I think those things have made the biggest difference. And, let's face it, he might not want to talk about it, but Embiid is playing probably as a high level as he's had in his 8 years of being here. And
Absolutely.
that's not saying that because he's had some great years.
Yeah.
But this guy is off the charts.
Yeah.
So I think Doc, not much has changed from the perspective of how they play. I think, they definitely want to be a top 10 defensive, top 10 offensive team. And, their defensive rating is definitely up there. And I think, people say to me, oh, but they still blow big leads. And I say, okay, so they blow big leads. What do you call what the Denver game was when they were down 15 and Denver blew the big lead? Didn't they blow that big lead because of how the Sixers played? Right. So for me in the NBA, because these guys are so talented and the parity that you're seeing, I think you see runs are coming at you all the time because that's the nature of how this talent has spread out around the league. So I think they've come to learn how to weather some of those storms. And I think they've come up with some big fourth quarters, to be honest with you.
Most definitely. Most definitely. Well, folks, this has been another great edition of Eat, Sleep, Sixers with our friend of the show, Miss Dei Lynam. Thank you for showing up, as always, and we'll hope to see you again later on in the season, possibly.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
For sure.
Well, thank you for joining us. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time. Appreciate you.
Enjoy
Let's go
your Saturday. Yeah,
right.
Go Birds.
Go Birds.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yes, see you later, ma'am.
See you later.
That was great. That was great. Awesome. That was the iconic Dei Lynam. Unless you were under a rock in the early 2000s and didn't know her voice, I don't know where you was at, because she was definitely a iconic figure in the Sixers locker room. Always the first person to get an interview from AI. Always got the scoop on anything that was going on back then. So we definitely appreciate her coming on. This was her third time on the show. We enjoyed our time. I mean, Carl, I know you enjoyed it. I don't think y'all understand, but Carl's a fanboy, y'all. He's sweating right now under that hoodie. Like when he get off of this camera, he's going to go take a shower because he's sweating up under that hoodie.
She's awesome, man. Every time we've reached out, she's responded. She's been on time. She's very classy. And you folks are classy, too. Thank you for all your questions, chiming in.
Look at Evan. Evan said, I didn't see this until now. He said, man, can we get you out there, please?
Hey, I was trying to ignore it because I didn't want to.
I didn't even see it until right now.
I'm sorry, Ev. I didn't want to put her in an uncomfortable situation answering that question because, of course, she wants to be out there. But, you know, the powers that be, you know, it's all different. And she's great anywhere she goes.
Yeah, sure.
You know, please look at the icons up at the screen. You'll see that we are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch. We depend on word of mouth advertisement. So, BG, what do we need people to do?
Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend about the Eat Sleep Sixers podcast. If you can't watch us live, hey, Apple Podcasts, let me go download yesterday's show. Bam, you can listen to us anywhere, anytime. And if you would like to be a guest on the show, if you want to sit and chop it up with us every once in a while, DM myself, DM Carl, DM Jen, DM Jose, and we'll get you on the panel. Also, we have watch parties for every nationally televised game. So if it's on national TV, we will have a watch party in here. We all just get together. The same way you just saw our screen with Dei Lynam, we all sit on the side. We have the big screen is the game, and we watch the game and just chop it up, talk Sixers. So if you want to join us for that.
Share this episode wherever you can. All our watchers, man. God bless y'all. We'll see y'all. What's that? Tomorrow? For the game. Is it tomorrow? I believe it's tomorrow. We play the Knickerbockers, correct?
Knickerbockers at 6 p.m. I'm sorry, that's 5 over here.
Yep.
So that's the ESPN game. So more than likely, Jose, I have a watch party for that. We'll let y'all know.
For
no
sure.
te olvide. O Alecide.
Uh-huh.
Que la diga es un amigo. Que la diga es un amigo. Que la diga otro amigo. Hueva!
That's the first time, BG.
Appreciate you, Prince. I needed to join.
Yes, sir. Peace out, Prince. Peace out.
Hey, we gonna holler at y'all, man. Let's go.